All right, hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming to my talk today. So, the title of my talk is We Need Someone Technical on the Call. And if this strikes fear in your heart, never fear, because I am here. Hello, RubyConf Mini. I am the host of this talk, Brittany Martin. So, did I know I was giving this talk today? No, I was on the wait list, and I'm super thrilled to be speaking today. But I want to point out that being on the wait list is a fabulous experience. You never know when you're giving your talk. You don't have to be anxious. And I myself actually suffer from performance anxiety, and so I didn't have to work myself up at all. So you're actually getting to see me at my best impromptu self, so enjoy today. And so let's talk a little bit about who I am. So first of all, the first thing that I identify as is a Rubyist. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the engineering manager at Texas, an enterprise text messaging app built on Ruby, Rails, and React. This is a really terrible photo of my team, but we recently took an offsite in Chicago, and so this is actually our reflection being reflected back at us from the Chicago beam. So it was a really fun trip. And, of course, we're hiring, which is usually the typical thing, but the market's kind of weird right now, so I want to exclaim, we're hiring. I took over the 5x5 Ruby on Rails podcast back in September 26th of 2018. As many know, I took the podcast independent in 2021, and I added 3 fabulous co-hosts in the process, Gemma, Brian, and Nick. This podcast is my contribution to the community, and I'm so thrilled to see many more Ruby podcasts happening, including ones that are getting launched at this very conference. I was recently interviewing, and one of my questions that I asked during interviews is, how do you stay plugged into the Ruby and Rails community? And they said that they listened to the Ruby on Rails podcast. I was like, that's so great. And they're like, but it's a different Brittany Martin. And I was like, it sure is. So my question for you is, if you haven't guessed it on the show, why not? Please come talk to me. Bring me a topic. I want to get more people who haven't been on podcasts on the podcast. And I also want to take a moment to thank Gemma, Emily, and Andy for all the hard work for this conference. What they have pulled off is an incredible feat, and it's something that we need to talk about. The passion that they had to make a safe space for here is evident in everything that they did. Also, I want to thank everyone who came out to the RubyConf Mini 5K this morning. Super fun. I was really, honestly, so thrilled by the turnout, and there's really good people here, and it's great to celebrate one of my passions with them. So it's time for me to pitch why I'm qualified to give this talk. Some say that I have had maybe a varied career. Those people would be correct. However, there's a common theme that runs through all the titles that I've had in my career. My specialty is to be the grease between the wheels in order to keep the gears turning. Just along the way, I happen to learn how to code, and that has made me more efficient. I am the queen, the absolute queen of setting barriers, and my goal is to reduce chaos and keep focus for my team. And really, my draw is to connect people together. Also, it was pointed out to me that I do work at a text messaging company, and I recently wrote code around call forwarding, so I'm definitely qualified to talk about phone calls, right? So what does it mean to be technical? We say it a lot, and as someone who's crossed over from being an individual contributor to an engineering manager, I fiercely want to hold on to the idea that I'm still technical. But to someone who doesn't know what that means, what does it mean? So I'm going to quote dictionary.com, I swear for the only time during this talk. But technical is defined as belonging to or pertaining to an art, science, or the like. What? Skilled in or familiar to a particular way with a particular art or trade. Now, to me, technical versus non-technical is really hard to define. Non-technical skills are interpersonal skills that we all value. That might include communication skills, leadership, teamwork, decision-making, and situation awareness skills. Those skills can be highly technical, though. And facts are facts. If you work in the tech industry, you are considered technical. I'm declaring it right now. However, For the purpose of this talk, a person with technical abilities is someone who has the unique knowledge on how a system or process works internally. I'm aiming this talk for software developers, but it applies to anybody who's technical. Here's another way that I see it. We hold a quarterly contest at TechStus called Employee of the Quarter. Employees are encouraged to nominate coworkers based on the core values that we have set up at the company. For years, the nominees would be considered non-technical. Customer support, account management, and sales dominated the nominations. As our culture at TechStus has shifted to be more product and engineering driven, so has the nominations. These are the top 3 nominations from Q1 of 2022. They are all technical. So a good example here is Zachary. Zachary is one of our senior software engineers who recently got promoted to staff, but it's very clear why he would be considered technical. He writes code. Our next nominee is Josh. Josh is our associate product manager, and you might think to yourself, well, that's not technical. Josh is actually the product owner over our API. When people have questions about how to integrate with us and how to make that easier, Josh is the person who's doing that. Very technical. And then Sierra is our tier 3 support engineer. She's the person who sits between customer support and engineering and is that barrier that when complicated questions come through customer support, she is almost that caching layer where she is trying to answer those questions and dig into our logs. So she is also very highly technical. And so for the context of this talk, what is considered to be a call? Because do we get on the phone anymore? It's so easy to refer to situations as calls, but truthfully, a call is anytime someone is requesting your time in real time. Phone calls, video conferences, hey, even a tuple, or maybe someone asks to huddle with you in Slack, those are all considered calls. Now let's get to the actual situation. You've just received a DM, the dreaded message. They want someone technical on the call. If that statement is terrifying, do not worry, but how did we end up in a situation where this statement does feel terrifying? In the beginning, there's a small team, a couple of technical and non-technical co-founders, and they can all meet customers together. This is where your engineers are actually talking to your customers directly, and things go really well. The team expands, and more engineers get hired, and of course, more salespeople get hired as well. Now more distance is being made from the engineers, from the customers, the prospects, and the vendors. Customer support, sales, and executive leadership asking for a developer to join a call is now a very lofty ask. Now we're going to go to one of my favorite memes of all time, and truthfully, it inspired this talk. This is my first reaction when I get invited to a call that I was not invited to originally. We are so protective of our time because all violations disrupt our flow time. And we've talked many times throughout this conference how important flow time is to our engineers. We're being paid to code, right? We're not being paid to be in meetings. So what's the best way to handle being the technical contact on a call? I've got a great answer for you. Well, you should try to avoid it at first. It sounds really obvious, but there is an art to dodging a call. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the anatomy of a support ticket. Sending a well-written support ticket or response might give you exactly what you need. So I'm going to step through it here. I realize that this type is pretty small, but use a really clear title. A lot of email providers are going to group those titled emails, so be unique and clear. Do not send an email in all capital letters just saying important. It's going to get thrown to spam. So the next one is state who you are and why you are the technical contact. You want to make sure that you elevate yourself so that way the person takes you seriously. And then the next part is you want to state very clearly what you've tried already. There is nothing worse than getting really deep into a technical problem, reaching out to somebody, and they just link you to that, like they copy paste from the help article. No, you've done all the things. You are now at a point where you need some help. And then you want to give them a very clear directive on what action they need to take or the action you need to take. I typically bold that sentence out in my emails because I want to make it very clear this is the thing I need you to do. And then we're technical. End with the data needed as an attachment. Do not dilute the message by putting code or logs in between the things that you need to state. Move that stuff down, but make it very clear in the email where that stuff can be located. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is making sure that you have clear API documentation. How many calls are you not going to have to be on if your API documentation is great? So think of API documentation as a reference that has all the information you need to work with your API. Developers, partners, and customers, everything that is possible with the API and how to get started. If anyone at your company can link to the documentation reliably, external stakeholders will trust it. Now, this is a controversial one, but I'm happy to debate it with anybody here. I have been, like I said, called the queen of barriers to text us, and if I'm asking to be the technical person on the call and they are not a customer yet, or a partner or a vendor, I tend to deny it. Needing a sales engineer is one thing, but that signals we need to equip the sales team with better tooling and a roadmap so that they are able to take those calls themselves. So another instant denial for me is when I receive a surprise invitation. I recently received an invite to a call with a customer. No agenda, no context, scheduled on top of an existing meeting. It's important that you set your boundaries and you have to be consistent about it. So that unfortunately received an instant decline for me. However, with a follow-up email to the account manager after submitting a case with details before scheduling time. There are signs where you should actually accept joining the call, and this is what we're going to talk about going forward. I think this is extremely funny. So if you are extremely invested in the call, so these are definitely times that you should accept taking the call. If asynchronous communication has not worked, how many times has this happened where you've gone back and forth and you feel that there is a clear misunderstanding going on and the person is getting more and more frustrated and you feel that you need to intercede? This is a good time where you should take the call. If the relationship is really important to your organization, if you have one of those businesses where it's very lopsided, where you have big customers and like if they leave, it's a big deal, you should probably take the call. And if you actually suspect that it's your fault, like if they have found like a bad bug and like you need to address it immediately, that might be a time that you need to take that call. So taking a call comes at a real hidden cost. When you calculate the cost of the call, literally factoring your salary into an hourly rate, you need to calculate if it will end up being a net positive for you. I think we can all agree that we have been on some very, very expensive calls. If losing the MRR of the customer or partner is high and it will take up more engineering resources, take the call. So, like a good RSpec test, it's all about the setup before you execute. So we're going to walk through a scenario and then we'll keep referring to it ongoing. But in this case, the scenario is an API deprecation. You are in charge of deprecating a public API at your company. The deprecation is scheduled and you are eager to retire the services. Except your partner just alerted you that they're blocked on pivoting from version 1 endpoint to version 2. This is a problem. They are now in your way from being able to actually need to do what you need to do. So you're going to assemble this call. But you do not want a committee on a call. You want to be very specific about who's there. Nothing gets done otherwise. People will drag their own agenda or attempt to show off if the committee gets too big. So 4 people on the call need to be there in order to stay effective. Your technical contact, your second in command, and we'll dig into that. So you are the technical contact. Their technical contact, they need to bring someone from their side that is technical, and then their advocate. So the second in command, I cannot stress enough how important this role is. This is the most critical person on the call, and who should it be? Should it be your engineering manager, your tier 3 engineer, your account manager, or your product manager? It really depends on the problem. And in the case of the API deprecation issue, it probably should be your engineering manager. This is an engineering-driven project, and your EM is very well equipped. It must be someone that you can trust to handle follow-through and manage your boundaries. So you have to think to yourself, will your second be calling in from the car? On vacation? Choose someone else. Is it someone who will easily say yes to everything? Choose somebody else. Will they be multitasking or unwilling to catch up to the context of the call? Choose someone else. Do they have a reputation for executing calls well and nailing the follow-through? That's your person. Ahead of the call, make sure the advocate of the call includes a concise agenda for the call. This keeps everybody on point, prepared, and you will not drift into feature requests fantasy land. And if it's not on the agenda, the answer is I don't know, but I'll get back to you. And in this case, the API deadline needs to be on the agenda. Don't dance around it. That's the point of the call. You want to make sure that you sync internally before the call. Schedule a quick meeting to confirm goals and get a feel for known personalities. And you know what I mean by known personalities. There tends to be people who are on calls who can be very aggressive or passive or not have enough context. Make sure you know everybody that's going to be on the call. And perhaps include some secret cues to keep the conversation in pace. Did you know that the customers are struggling in this transition? So the day has arrived and it's time to execute the call. Always start the call with an introduction, even if everybody already knows each other. This is like the perfect role for your second in command in order to drive the call. You want to state your name, title, and your role in the call and the project overall. And yes, your camera must be on and it must be left on. You want to make sure you listen. This might sound really obvious, but please bear with me. It's really easy as technical people to want to grab the keyboard and start driving. Step back and listen to make sure that you know exactly what the other participants are experiencing and why. The more they talk, the more likely they are to admit the real problem. In this case, they forgot or someone departed the company whose job was to deprecate that API endpoint. It's incredibly frustrating to find out that there was important information on a call that was not shared. This often leads to why these calls happen to begin with, honestly. Designate someone to take notes and record the call. Make sure you get permission from everybody. And then you want to funnel the status on the API project to the account manager for that partner. The vast majority of us are still working from home and might be working from home indefinitely. Me, I'm remote permanently and I absolutely love it. However, my lab, George, has figured out that when I'm on a call, that is the best time to bark at me and to whine for treats. He's very clever in that way. So I'm very upfront with that at the beginning of the call, that I have a very energetic and excitable lab who might bark, and that I will take care of it if for any reason he comes at me. But it's important that we are all seen as human. We have lives, and these things kind of happen. It is also totally okay to have some small talk about your favorite show. If you can't tell, it's RuPaul's Drag Race. Or, maybe the latest season of Love is Blind, whatever you want to do. But once the call has started, you want to stay on topic. Envision you are actively throwing in callbacks to get back to that API transition. If you find yourself opening your Rails console or your logging tool during the call, stop right now. It is not the best use of your time or your partner's. Rather, if they have reproduction steps that need to be inspected, you can get after that after the call. Take the details offline. While you are considered the most technical person on the call, it is your job to elevate your second in command. This might be reiterating that they can get them the answers that they need or have dealt with other partners in the same predicament. The goal is to lessen their dependency on you and have them see your second in command as truly competent. Once upon a time, you were not technical. Don't forget. It is rude using exclusively technical language in front of non-technical stakeholders without offering a translation. So here's a good one. I see. So the issue that you're having is expecting an XML payload from V1, but the V2 API only offers JSON. You might need to migrate to JSON or find a library that will help you translate XML to JSON cleanly. That's too technical for the people that are on the call. So to translate it, and that's what you want to do, is say the data format that your team is expecting from us is different than what we are sending. Your team is going to look into solutions to accept that. Okay? If you get the agenda of the call done early, end it early. That is free time. Just end it early. You need to make it clear that your time is valuable. Repeat the conclusions made, that the partner is committing to moving to your V2 API by a certain date, and agree to the handoff that your second will be completing within 24 hours of the call. So before we get into the very important topic of the follow-up, I want to take a brief intermission and point something out. If you do a good job on the call, you in danger, girl. I want to warn you that some very amusing statements might be coming your way. Yay, I'm going to invite you to all of my calls, which is, so sweet and heartfelt. You did a great job, clearly. And now the account manager or the sales team, they want to invite you to all their calls. That can't happen. And then this is my personal favorite. Gee, you sure don't seem like an engineer. Which is supposed to be so nice. So you need to control your response. It's meant to be a compliment. And it means that you achieved your goals. Don't take it as a sign that you need to change your behavior. And don't question if you don't sound technical enough or feel that you need to be more available for these kinds of calls. As I mentioned, all good calls have good follow-through, so you don't have to schedule another call. If you discover that is an issue on your side during the call, let's say the API endpoints are not one-to-one like you thought they were, you need to generate the tickets and work with your engineering manager to get them prioritized ASAP. You tag your second in command so that way they can see the work that you're doing. This is one of my favorite skill sets, is to be a technical whisperer. Remember how I said you needed to empower your second in command? It continues here. Internally, you feed them technical details so they sound the most brilliant during the follow-up. This further instills that they are the lead here, not you. This is where the committee expands. Copy anyone who needs to be informed, but again, they don't need to participate in the call. So I have a good example here. This is a conversation that Sierra and I were having. So this is some heavy-handed, Slack whispering here. But what happened here is Sierra saying, hey, I'm having some trouble with customer XYZ and shutting them down about their SSO stuff. And she said, can I pick your brain for 5 minutes to go over my response? And my reply was, I'd love to see their email and your draft response first. You give it a try. And she gives me the response. And I confirm that she's correct, but I give her a couple more details so that way she sounds really informed. And then she ends it, yes, okay, I did understand it this whole time. I've now avoided the call. Sierra remains to be the expert, and now she's learned a little bit. The lesson here is no call for me, and Sierra grew in confidence. All right, like I said, drag race gifts. Make it make sense, make it make sense. So once the version 1 API is deprecated, it's likely going to be behind schedule. I think we've all established that. Have an internal retro on why technical intervention and now a call was needed in the first place. What measures can we put in place so partners and customers are actually informed in real time? This all seems like a lot of work, right? In the end, there are some actual positive things that come from being able to do these kinds of calls well. You can have a fantastic career as an IC, a manager, or a founder. However, there is no way to progress in your career without getting good at dealing with other people. I think we can all agree to that. You too can be a hero by helping others get things done. It could improve your trust since you're getting feedback from the source. It can verify that your existing requirement management process is improving. We're all trying to scale Ruby on Rails, right? And it gives you the opportunity to spot client problems that can be addressed by new technology that you are evaluating. We all get into ruts. You could be remotivated by meeting customers and partners whose life is impacted by the software that you're writing every day. Instead of a time waster, it can be a massive time saver. You can ask questions and get immediate answers instead of being trapped in a back and forth whirlwind. So perhaps, next time, pick up the phone. And maybe call me, maybe. I can't imagine a lot of questions will come out of this, but if you have a funny or a tragic technical call story to share with me, I am so ready for it. I believe we will be adjourning to lunch shortly. Thank you so much for listening today. You can tweet me at this very ill-chosen Twitter handle. You can visit me on my website, or you can listen to me on the Ruby on Rails podcast. Thank you all.